Section 3 of Hearth and Home, Collected Poems and Stories by Various. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Fighting a Conger by Dr. Joseph Sharpe. Some few summers ago, a friend of mine, much given to piscatorial matters, requested my company and assistance to capture the sea serpent, or a respectable imitation of that mythical creature. Not being up in matters piscatorial, it took several lectures of my learned friend to lift me to the dignified knowledge of conger hunting. My eyes were opened, my imagination magnificently stirred, my soul winged, my arm nerved, my feet shod with a piscatorial preparation extraordinary. I had battled the snake, killed the brown bear, and been cuddled by the black, had been scratched by the tiger, faced the lion, and defeated the elephant. But all this was accomplished on terra firma, with weapons that gave me every advantage of the enemies around me. Fighting a fish was a new sensation, a new excitement, a new exercise on a new element. The sun had gone down, had buried himself head and ears in golden glory, in fact was sound asleep, when Johnny Morgan gave me an oar to pull the boat to the mooring place, some 5 miles away. There were several boats on the ground where congers most abound, and that place was the Mewstone, near Plymouth, Devon, England. The night was calm and lovely, not a breath stirred, not a wave stirred. All around was as noiseless as the shades of death, save the occasional splash of an oar. It was a stilly starlit night, the very time propitious for conquering congers. Our boat was on the wave, her moorings in the sea. The great fish wandered to and fro, and wondered who were we. "Take them hooks and lines out of the stern of the boat," whispered Johnny, "and bait the hooks with that mackerel. Congers are just as great cannibals as ever were human beings. If some of our brethren like roast missionary, congers like raw mackerel." We had carefully baited our hooks and slid them over the side of the boat, and waited for the bell to ring, that we might entertain strangers, if perchance they should call. "Now then, for that brandy and soda in the sandwich," said Johnny, "and don't forget to take a tidy lot, to keep the cold out and the heat in, as well as your courage up." We had scarcely commenced, when Johnny suggested that a stranger was jerking the other end of our line. We at once made preparations to receive the stranger in due form. Gaff and hatchet were at hand. We hauled the line carefully at first, letting out a little occasionally as the ocean stranger required, and finally landed, or rather floored, a young conger of about 20 pounds. I always feel several degrees of complacency and self-congratulation in conquering or capturing a new sort of enemy. I did in this case. I even took another drop of brandy and soda, and drank to the health of all good congers. I was, however, by no means in liquor, and was never accused of hard drinking. I was only admiring the stars, and felt happy. Just then, in the midst of my reverie in little local heaven, the boat commenced to move. The stern swung around slowly, but gradually, until it had boxed the compass. "Whom have we here?" said Johnny. "The sea serpent has got us in tow, has swallowed our moorings, and is about to take us out to sea." For at that moment the boat ceased its circular movement and commenced to move in a direct line seaward. The fact was, a very large conger had hold of a line over the stern of the boat, and was merely making a circuitous route to find out what he had hold of, or what had hold of him. In doing so he had entangled the line several times around the rope attached to the moorings, and so powerful was the fish that he moved the boat, moorings and all, for nearly 1/4 of a mile. "This won't do," cried Johnny. "In with the rope and moorings, and let's see what the deuce has got hold of it." We soon found it to be a conger, and had the fish near the gunwale of the boat, when all at once he floundered away with a sudden jerk, carrying Johnny overboard with him, gaff and all. Here was some sensation and a great deal of excitement, as the sequel will prove. Johnny was soon aboard again, having the rope in his hand, or rather a part of it, for the fish had bitten the rope in two, just above the moorings. The fishing line, however, he could not manage to get off with. I proposed cutting the hook line and letting him go, but Johnny's blood was up, and he declared that himself or that fish must die. Fortunately securing our gaff, we determined to do our best to get him on board and dispatch him. After making every preparation, we commenced to haul him in, but had several times to give him line again, until we considered we had exhausted his strength, and would now have him either by hook or by crook, or both. "Stand by with that gaff," said Johnny, "and as soon as you have a chance, let him have it, and when he is in the boat, let that hatchet open his head." No sooner said than done. We boated him, and he made us bolt. I was about to raise the murderous weapon, the hatchet, when his tail came into collision with some part of my body, removing me several yards from the boat into the water. 'Twas well I could swim. During my absence, Johnny had a fair stand-up fight with the monster. The fish twice knocked the hatchet out of his hand and knocked him down afterward. In fact, he cleared the boat, for we had to hold on to the gunwale on the outside until the fish died from exhaustion. He weighed 95 pounds. End of section 3, read by Elsie Selwyn.